Hello and welcome to Illuminations with Tiina and Fi. I'm Tiina.
And I'm Fi.
Hey Fi.
Hiya Tiina.
Fi, it's a while since we've been in the situation of recording and Illuminations together. And there's a reason for that. For the past 9 months, we have been writing a book. And in the last couple of months, that writing intensified, in the kind of last stages of getting the book finished. And it's been an exciting time. And we'd like to today talk about the book, but actually what the book is about. And the title is Finding the Song That Makes Your Heart Sing, Redefining Abundant Living. So Fi, it would be really brilliant if you wanted to start talking about what it is that made us choose a title like Redefining Abundant Living and Redefining Abundance.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I don't know if you remember, Tiina, we were in Sweden and we were talking about putting a book together to support Illuminations. And we thought, right, we might look at, Illuminations of an Abundant Life. That's where we thought we'd start. And gradually through putting this book together and giving birth, as we are in the process of in the moment, we kind of got a handle more, I think, on why we kind of started writing it. I think at the beginning, I knew something around abundance was nudging me. I think it was writing the book that helped really clarify that. So we call this a book to disrupt. We say that there is a lot of onus on possessions and happiness coming from having stuff, from being something, status, having the best looking gorgeous partner and the most amazing house, the latest gadget. And I know from working with my clients, and you know from yours, that actually a lot of my clients are finding that this is just a hollow dream. We're not saying that not having money isn't important, because of course it is, there's a place, but I think we felt, and I discovered through writing the book, that my nudging around when we started talking about it was quite right, and it's helped me really consider what's important in my life. And there's so many books out on abundance at the moment, and I was just in our warm-up talking to you, Tiina, about a book by a guy, 7 Secrets to Be a Millionaire, which is great. They're probably the 7 secrets to be, hopefully, I don't know, but it sounded like 2 of them were, about abundant living as opposed to money. There does seem to be this quite big focus on everything being about wealth. It's about wealth. And I think what you and I do in our book is for ourselves redefine what that wealth really means. And we've been lucky because I happened to go to the Matrix with Mike Dooley. You've been inspired by Lisa Nichols. We've been very lucky. Gabby Bernstein, I've looked at her, but we've been lucky to have people around us who are more of that ilk of thinking that it's not about stuff. And funny enough, what's one of the top bestsellers now for the last how many months is Decluttering Your Stuff by, the writer, I can't remember. And it's so like, that's the top #1 seller. And most of my friends have got this book, and it's about decluttering everything. Yeah. Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it all came about. And what we're kind of trying to communicate is to have a different look at life and what really makes life worth living, what makes it rich and full. And I guess it's that there's a whole culture around having stuff that makes you a better person, that makes you successful in other people's eyes. But also in the books about abundance, there's a very much like you said, a focus on the wealth, even though when I'll own this, when I have started reading those books, there's depth in there. It is about other things, but it's almost like there's a need to kind of
Mm.
use the wealth language in order to get people to buy the book, and then that there's a kind of other more deeper kind of a message underneath. But I do think that there is a sense in the world right now where we're kind of starting to redefine life as we know it in ways like, actually, have we lost our way a little bit in what we're doing, and what actually matters?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things coming in there. There's some amazing research by a nurse, a woman who worked with people at the end of their lives, mainly through disease and illness. Is that called palliative care? I think it might be, where they're on the last parts of their life. And she wrote, did some research around and wrote a book, I think it is, around what people, wanted or missed or thought about at the end of their lives. And it certainly wasn't, I wish I had the latest juicer. It was much deeper and more time spent with family. No one said, I wish I spent more time in the office.
No.
It's very interesting that there is some evidence coming forward. And of course, being part of the Action for Happiness at the moment is also helpful, because Richard Layard, who's an economist, and I was funny enough sharing the book with my family, which was very brave the other weekend. First time I talked about it with people who I hadn't shared what the book was about before. And that did feel very much in the arena. And my family were really interested. And one of my cousins said, yeah, I've heard somewhere that, when you earn a certain amount, after that, it doesn't bring any more happiness. And actually, we know it can even go into decline, because people, when they get so much stuff, actually start worrying about losing it. There's so much to lose. And this is Juliana Park in The Abundance Loop, which was a book that touched me when I bought it, I think, on the way to Sweden to you a couple of years ago. And I realized I was, you can move into what's called the scarcity cycle, where you start to just think about what you don't have. And I know we're going to look at this more in episode 2, session 2, episode 2, about how we might make our hearts sing. But I think when I sometimes talk to people, they're very much around what they don't have rather than what they do have. So it's looking at abundance, genuine abundance, which I'll own. I think sometimes I take for granted. I do. And also for me, I've just done some visioning workshops, and my visioning for myself, and my word now is satisfied, which is really really key for me, because in my head I've always gone, yeah, everything would be great if I was just £10 lighter, if I just had another £20,000, if I just, it's just never ending, this satisfied. And that will only come through believing I have a life of abundance.
Yeah, and I think that's and we'll also talk more about that in the next episode. That's a big chunk of the book, is about beliefs, around believing that you are abundant or not. A very, very fascinating chapter, if I say so myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
So who do you think will be who do you think will benefit from redefining abundance for themselves?
Oh, good question, Tiina. I think anyone who is kind of sitting somewhere and looking around at everything they have, but something is not lighting up for them inside. I have this 80-20 rule that 80% of the day, is about either being in a resourceful state, being content, whatever the desired state is. And if you spend most of your time, kind of looking at considering what is you don't have, relationships aren't this, friendships aren't that, I think that you're the kind of person that would gain from the book. I also think anybody who's questioning around, like for me, my spending, I definitely use my spending to numb out. And it generally often wasn't spending on myself, it was spending on others, which added that, credibility to it, because it was about being caring. But actually it was a way of numbing out. So I've learned loads around, if someone is concerned about how they're spending, even simple stuff like that, that would be someone who would gain a lot from this book, like I have. Language to use, but you know, how to, if you feel like or believe that your spending is not in line. You know, I really do live quite a frugal life in many ways, and yet my spending just was not reflecting that. So yeah, when there's mismatch, incongruence, if you don't wake up every morning, you know, with your heart singing most mornings, you know, read the book and find out maybe why. What about you?
Yeah, and I would add to that, probably, you know, when you're kind of walking down the street going, I should be satisfied with my life. Why am I not? I've got this, that, and I'm still not satisfied. I still don't kind of look forward to my day when I wake up. That's also kind of indication of, you know, that it could be.
Well, there's a really good movie out called Happy, which we may include in the nuggets. And it's really fantastic. I saw it as part of Action for Happiness. And it's actually, I saw it the other day. I think it might be on Netflix, actually. If we're allowed to mention Netflix and any other rental, whatever people can use. And it's really interesting because they look at the producers and the director. They look at people who in our terms would not be living a life of wealth. But my goodness, these people have such an abundant mindset, and it's so touching. It makes you go, what is going on in my head? That, you know, it's really interesting that we're getting this so not okay. This idea that the more you have, the more you earn, the more wealth, then the more happiness. And actually, all the research and everything is like that. So you're right. I think it's a bit of a wake-up call to really prioritising what makes your life abundant for you.
Yeah.
That isn't just about wealth.
Yeah, and it's also about, I think, about being authentic, you know, to yourself, you know, and to others. And I think, you know, it kind of taps into also, you know, so there's the wealth culture, you know, the glorifying wealth. And then there's the kind of the Facebook age of likes, and, you know, we'll just put on a polished exterior, and we'll go, oh, but they're so happy, you know, look at the, you know, they got 3 cars and 2 houses and they go on holidays, and, you know, it's like, well, it doesn't actually mean shit. You don't know what's under the surface. And there's a need to kind of show up a polished exterior all the time. And it's like, you know, the neighbor has got a BMW, now we have to have a BMW. So it's like status race and wealth race.
And actually something's popped into my head, which we may, you know, all final amends, but this is about stripping back. It's really about, you're bang on, it's about stripping back who you are, which we do in chapter 1, who you are, what you want, genuinely stripping that right back. And who am I without all my crap around me, you know, my car, my whatever, you know, who am I? And actually, am I okay with who that is? And who do I want to be? You know, there is an essence of uncovering, which is joyful, you know, in so many ways, which is what I've loved about the process. So we break the book into 3 just so that, you know, people get where we come from. So we do, the first chapter is about knowing what you want, and that's part of that bit, you know, stripping back to your raw core, but, you know, what is you and what you want. Then we look at beliefs, as you say, because often beliefs can get in the way of a whole range of stuff, limiting beliefs. And then we start to look at connection, because you and I both know that we're hardwired for connection, and that is such a massive part of living an abundant life, is having really good connections, and we explore what that might look like.
Yeah. Okay, Fi, we've come to the end of our time today. So is there a question that you'd like to put out into the world after this discussion?
I suppose maybe it might be worth people just thinking and pondering, you know, what for me makes my life abundant, and be honest about that. That's just simple. What makes my heart sing, genuinely, and just notice when your heart sings, and notice when those moments are, you know, and if it is, just notice. We'll come to the rest in part 2, episode 2.
Yes. Okay. Brilliant. Well, thank you for today. It's been good to also just talk about the book just like this and explaining it a little bit to people when we've been so in it for such a long time.
Yeah, so if people want to subscribe, please do. That would be great, because obviously then you'll get, other than the last month, you'll get an episode every Friday in your inbox. And also we will be announcing the publication of the book. I think we're aiming for the 16th of December, but that's we're getting there. We're on time for it, so just that people know. But it will go up on our websites, and we'll probably do a quick YouTube about it, I reckon, she says.
Yes, she says. I'll see you next time, Fi.
Bye, Tiina. Thank you.
Bye.